Hello everyone, this is Chase Pounds. As I mentioned in my previous previous video on the rule of women and children first, I did some research on the internet, and it kind of answered my question. And the person on the chat who was on the poll that had commented on my question, and women and children first has never really been part of, I guess, the maritime law. It's been just a custom, and it goes back. The custom of women and children first go back to the between about the early to mid 19th century. After several based on a couple of notable shipwrecks. In one particular and I had mentioned there was a shipwreck in 1852 that was the earliest well noted case of the procedure when abandoning ship of saving the women church and leaving the men to stay on board was a military ship, but that was carrying civilian passengers, mostly women and children. Was the Brigand? I think the name was Brigand Head. It had ran aground. The ship had ran aground, and it was in danger of sinking, of course. And it was so damaged it broke in two. And so they evacuate based on the policy of saving the women and children first. And the men were ordered to stay in their place, not to move, even after the lifeboats even had left. And some were given the permission to. The captain was given the order that you could swim to the lifeboats and save yourself, but some of the officers drew out the sword and told them to stand in place. And many did, even as the ship went down, and some clinged onto the debris. As a result, you had a large number of people that died. Though you did have a lot of men that did survive as well, who clung to the debris and were saved by passing ships. And again, as I said, the women and children first is often what comes to mind of women and children first is mostly those early shipwrecks. The women and children policy continued all well into the 19th century and well into the 21st century, and I guess ending. And I guess the last notable case is, of course, the infamous sinking of the RMS Titanic in 1912. And actually, however, the women and children first isn't the part of maritime law, but I did also read this on the internet, and I kind of said some prior knowledge about it because I've read it before. The other traditional maritime procedure, or I should say tradition, I guess, is, of course, the captain goes down with the ship. Now, in some countries, it's considered by law that captain must save all his passengers first before the captain saves himself. Even if it's possible that he can be rescued, he must see that all his other passengers and crew members get saved first. And again, this also is associated with the Titanic as well, because of Captain Smith, the captain of the Titanic, went down with his ship. The ship, and And that was about of course the um and that was it's been speculated how he died died or what died, or if a different version of how he died during the sinking, but he's a notable example of how the captain stayed in his place and went down with the ship. And with the recent 2012 ship, the sinking of the Costa Concordia is an example of how a captain was charged of a crime for not for crime for trying to save himself, where there's several passenger crewmen that didn't make it and died during the sinking. So, and many other, as I read on the internet, there are some other notable shipwrecks that of a captain having of not going down with the ship. And of course, during World War II, it was quite common because it was considered a war crime for a captain to save himself, not before his fellow crewmen. It was considered desertion based on what I read. So that's more of a tradition. That's my so that kind of answers my question about the women, children first policy that is non-traditional law of the sea. It never has been. It was popular again between the 19th century, between the early 20th century, as a form of chivalry, I guess, for that time, because it was considered the more a gentleman thing to let the ladies sacrifice yourself and give your life up to a woman to save you, a lady, and die bravely in face of a disaster, without in calmness, without panicking and acting irrationally. And that's another video by Chase Pounds. Stay tuned for my next video.